Welcome to the 15th ToKini Andy Kanji lesson. Today we're going to cover the meaning, building blocks, writing, historical evolution where applicable, and a story to memorize each of the following kanji. We'll also learn the parts and radicals needed for those kanji. But today, there are no new parts, which is why we're learning 6 kanji instead of the usual 5. Stick around to the end of the lesson where we'll be doing a quick quiz to help everything stick. By the way, check the pinned comment below this video to see why we are not learning readings for each kanji just yet. Let's get into it. It's early in the video and it might be early in the morning for you, so let's start with something simple. The kanji for early. The official radical for early is sun. See where this is going? The parts are sun and 10. There are 6 strokes in early. We start with the sun on top before moving down to the first horizontal stroke in 10, and finishing it off with the final vertical stroke. Historically, this was apparently a pictograph of a type of tree that was used for getting black dye. And this kanji was used to mean getting that black dye. Eventually, that changed into sunrise, perhaps indicating the change from dark to sunny. It then came to mean early. Apparently, it's also considered a pictograph of a spoon. This one looks like a dude wearing a baseball cap and scooping something into a vat or something, with the bowl of the spoon out of frame. Otherwise, I'm not seeing the spoon. I see our first indications of aliens here, though. For our story, we're putting a fantasy spin on things. Someone is using a magic spell that brings a tiny sun on the end of a 10 staff to wake someone up early. What a jerk. Although, that might get me out of bed in the morning, so perhaps it isn't such a bad idea. Remember that it's a good idea to pause the video after each story and really try to imagine it, or to create a story of your own that will help you remember the kanji even better. Make sure the story contains the meaning and every single part in some way. Alright, now that we're getting into the weeds, here's a kanji that means weeds. Every video, no exceptions. The official radical for weeds is, appropriately, the grass radical crown, and the parts are grass radical and early. The kanji is written as expected, with the grass crown being written first, horizontal line, and cutting through it with 2 blades of grass. Then, the sun part of early, followed by the 10 that it stands on. Historically, this kanji apparently used to mean acorn, and the bottom part was also basically the kanji early, with the earliest form of the grass kanji popping out of its head. Over time, it came to mean weeds, and acorn became this Kanken level 1 kanji. Remember, Kanken level 1 means even most Japanese natives can't read it, so really this is just a point of curiosity. Nothing you need to memorize or anything. Apparently, the part early in this kanji was chosen to indicate the Chinese reading of soul. For our story, we'll say that weeds are grass. That is always the earliest plant to pop up. It's fast. It's almost as if an early to rise wizard and his 10 staff are waking the weeds up early. If you want a wizard to wake you up in the morning, feel free to hit the like button. If you don't want a wizard to wake you up in the morning, that's fine too. Hit the like button. Here's a simple kanji that means grove, or sometimes a small forest. The official radical is clearly tree, and it's made of 2 trees for parts. There are 8 strokes in grove. What's important to notice here is that the 4th stroke in the first tree is much shorter than the 4th stroke in the actual kanji tree. This is to make room for the tree on the right. You can imagine the branches of the tree on the left disappearing behind the tree on the right, if that helps you. Historically, this kanji has changed very little and has always had the meaning of trees lined up together. When I hear the word grove, I personally think of a circular line of trees enclosing an open space in the middle. That lining up of the trees, though, is what's important to see here. For our story, we'll have 2 trees make a grove. This is really a 2-part mnemonic, with the next kanji making up the second part. While you're waiting for that to pop up, why not hit the subscribe button and the bell? The alien overlords that roamed ancient China will thank you. Damn it. Yeah. Fine. They said they will not say thank you. Sorry. Here are a few more trees. Well, just one more, really. This kanji means forest, but I bet you guessed that already. The official radical here is no surprise. It's just kidding. Tree. And it's made up of 3 trees, which goes without saying. There are 12 strokes in forest. The top tree is written pretty much identically to the kanji for tree, though it's a little stumpier. The lower 2 trees are written like a stumpy grove. Each tree, of course, is written in isolation one at a time before moving on to any parts in the next tree. Remember to keep the 8th stroke, or the final stroke in the second tree, shorter to make room for the tree on the right, just like in grove. This kanji is historically consistent with grove in that it was always 3 trees and indicated a meaning of forest or an area with lots of plant growth. So for our story, we'll continue from 2 trees make a grove to 3 trees make a forest. I always enjoy all the mingling that Yuki and I get to do with you in the chat during the live streams, which happens after the premiere for these videos. We don't get a chance to mingle much. Mingle. This kanji means mingle. The official radical for mingle is potlid. We haven't seen that guy in a while. The parts are potlid and father. There are 6 strokes in mingle. We start with the handle of potlid, followed by the lid itself. We then draw the crowning 8 of father below the lid, followed by the grass clippers down below that. Historically, the appearance of this kanji hasn't changed much, but some explanations state that it was a pictograph of someone crossing their legs based on how the bottom part of the kanji looks. Specifically, they cross their legs below the knees to the ankle somewhere. More recent academics refute this claim and think the bottom part was actually the kanji for disability, which eventually became the kanji for yellow. I'm not sure which is true, but you could just mingle all of them together so that you don't forget that this kanji means mingle. It's also interesting to me how little we actually know for certain about the ancient past. We're going to have a little fun with this story. To become a member of the Fathers of the Potlid Society, which is a society of fathers just mingling, you must wear a potlid on your head to the meetings. And be a father, of course. Please feel free to share any stories you've made for the kanji in this video down in the comments. It may help someone who this story did not help. We've seen a lot of trees today, so we might as well continue the trend with school, whose official radical is tree. The parts are tree and mingle. There are 10 strokes in school. We start with the tree on the left, being sure to make the 4th stroke quite a bit shorter than the kanji for tree so that mingle can fit on the right. This is going to be a trend for when tree shows up in the hen position or on the left position, if you haven't noticed yet. We then draw mingle on the right, potlid first, followed by father beneath. Historically, this has always been a combination of the same parts, with mingle indicating the Chinese reading of ko. With that said, it interestingly used to mean bonds or shackles, like some kid getting shackled to school, or perhaps prophesying how future schools would look a lot like prisons. Anyway, it was eventually borrowed to mean compare and learn when in words like school. For our story, we're continuing the story from Mingle. A school in the trees is where the fathers mingle. After school hours, of course. Which brings us to the Lesson 15 quiz. In this section of the video, I'll show you a flashcard with the English meaning for a kanji. Pause the video when we show each card and try to remember how to write that kanji. Next, write it on your hand with your finger or on a piece of paper. Then press play and see if you were right. The best way to remember kanji you just learned is to search your memory for the story we taught you or the one you made based on the English word on the flashcard. Our first card is Mingle. Next is Weeds. Just a few more. Here's Early. And then there's School. Next, there's Forest. Finally, we have Grove. Let us know how many you got right down in the comments. You can learn the next 5 kanji by clicking here, if the video is already out. If you don't want to wait, you can continue learning with our Level 1 Kanji Flashcard deck for Anki on ToKiniAndy.com. We're also releasing kanji series videos early for all the members there, so check it out if you want a head start.